watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. The week is almost over. It is Thursday, December 11th. Can you smell Christmas right around the corner? Got the holiday food cooking and all that, huh? Welcome to the show. Tonight, we'll be talking to Liz Brown. Indiana said no to redistricting today. Indiana is an all-red state. It's got a supermajority in the House. It's got a 50-10 majority in, 40-10 majority in the Senate. No, 50. It's a 50-10. That's right. It's a 50-10 majority in the Senate. And for some reason or another, 21 Republicans in the state of Indiana voted with Democrats so that we couldn't redistrict. Why would they do that? You got to ask that. We'll talk to Liz Brown. She's an Indiana state senator. She'll be with us later this evening to talk about that. Let's talk about Monday. Coming up on Monday, Connie Shaw, she's with Great Britain's Free Speech Union. She'll be joining us to talk about what's going on in Great Britain. They've got a big issue with free speech. People are going to jail for what's being posted on Facebook and so on. And they wanted that here. If you remember, they wanted that here. And I'm telling you, my message to you is this. It's very simple. They're not going to stop, folks. You think that what happened just a few years ago where, we didn't have any free speech and we were being told what we couldn't say online, and some people still getting that today. Do you think that the moment Democrats get back in power that they're not going to do the exact same thing that Trump just did? What's that? Well, Trump came in like a pack of elephants into D.C., literally. Wild elephants that just trampled over everything so quickly, Democrats haven't had the opportunity to catch up. But trust me, given the opportunity, Democrats get power again, they've learned their lesson. They will codify Roe v. Wade. They'll go in and make it law. Don't believe me? Give them power. They will shut down the internet. They won't let you say what you want to say. Don't trust me? Let them have power. They will hold their political prisoners and put them in jail. Don't believe me? Give them power. We'll also be talking next week. That's on Tuesday night. We'll be talking to Ivan Raylick. He's a JC defender and an American patriot. Met him on several occasions. Like the guy, he's a little rough around the edges like me, but he's fighting the fight, and that's what we're all about. So with that being said, can't wait to have Ivan on the show next week. Now, let's get into what we want to talk about tonight. Take a listen to this.
And Dr. Hilary Cass, an eminent pediatrician, conducted a systematic review, the gold standard in medicine. It's a 388-page report. I encourage everyone to at least read the summary. But that report, after several years, found that there was no evidence of psychological improvement for any of these kids receiving these drugs and hormones and surgeries. The evidence is scant, it's non-existent, or it's extremely low quality. There was a systematic review done in Sweden. It found the same results. The most thorough review done to date was done this year by the HHS, Department of Health and Human Services in the United States. And it's peer-reviewed. Even the Washington Post said that it was a very balanced report. There's no arguing with these reports. They've gone over all of the peer-reviewed journals, all of the studies, and they've all come to the same conclusion, that there's no evidence this is helping kids. So if it's not helping kids, what are we doing sterilizing kids? These children, according to the Tavistock in the UK, 70% of these kids had 5 or more coexisting mental health comorbidities. They didn't just have 1 or 2 other problems, they had 5 or more. They have autism in likely a majority of cases. I want to say a strong majority for the more mild cases. But we know from the Tavistock that 35% of their patients, out of a sample of 1,069 kids, 35% had moderate to severe autism. These are kids who have suffered sexual abuse in a majority of cases. The president of the American College of Pediatricians tells me personally that he estimates it's about 60% of the kids have had sexual abuse. Anecdotally, if you read the stories of these people, I would say it's even higher, especially if you listen to the stories of detransitioners. These are kids with eating disorders, borderline personality disorder. Oftentimes, according to one older study, 52% of the mothers of these boys had borderline personality disorder themselves, compared to just 6% of the general population. Isn't that interesting? If this is something that's innate, why is it that more than half of the mothers had borderline personality disorder? Because it's not innate. This didn't exist when I was a child. There weren't children going around thinking they were born in the wrong body. Tomboys were just tomboys. That was great. They should be celebrated. You should be celebrated for who you are, not told you're supposed to be something you're not.
Exactly. And why are they being told that there's something they're not? Because these adults, these supposed scientists, the doctors who swear an oath to do no harm, they've realized they can live in a larger home. They can have a membership to a better golf club, country club, whatever their heart desires. It's money, folks. It's nothing but money. They're destroying your children for money. And it starts in the schools. It doesn't start in the doctor's office. It starts in school. Starts on TV. Starts on social media. Now, we've already seen a huge decline in this fad because that's exactly what it was. What he was saying is true. This didn't exist when we were kids. There was nobody thinking that they were in the wrong body, thinking that God had made a mistake. Did you see the minister the other day? The priest who comes out and says, hey, listen, I want to let you know, God made a mistake. I'm trans. Folks, it's time that you start doing what a young lady on social media said, and I agree with her 100%, that we have to bring back public shaming. We have to bring it back. We've got to start pointing at the people in our society that are not quite right and saying, you know what, you ain't quite right. And I want you staying away from me, and I want you to keep your mouth shut because you are dangerous. You can't control your own lives. You don't have your own life in control, but you want to tell me how to live mine and you want to influence my children? You've got to be braver than they are insane, folks. You've got to have more courage than they have crazy. If you don't have that, if you can't wrap your head around the fact that there are people who wake up on a daily basis trying to figure out how to get access to your kids every day, and not because they're trying to help them, not because they're trying to help them live a better life. No, they're grooming them. They want to use them for their own sexual deviant behaviors. Gets their rocks off. Most people won't talk about it, but, you know, when I talked to this a project we did years ago, I talked to a sexual predator, and he said bluntly that it was nothing about the sex. It was about the power, about seeing if they could manipulate that child into betraying their parents. Think about that. It's not about the sex. It's about the power, it's the manipulation, about controlling them doing something that they're not supposed to do. And they go along with it, and they believe that it's all right because, well, I've got the power of persuasion. Then they'll tell you that you're the wrong one. That if you speak out against pedophiles, or what do they call minor attracted persons? We call that, what do they call that and where I come from? Yeah, we call that grinder bait. You want to go into the tree grinder, the stump grinder? You want to go into the chip grinder? Come out and say that you like to fuck kids. Folks, we've got to start being very, very bold. I've been talking about it for a while, and some people are really pissed off with me about it. I don't give a shit. They think that they're tougher than they are. They think that when the world turns, and it's looking more and more like we are right on track with my predictions. We'll talk about that in the third part of our show tonight. Now, one of the things that we've been talking about is how the world's going to end here fairly quickly. There's going to be some major issues in the next 3 to 6 months. Not 18 to 36, 3 to 6 months. Some things that got to be taken care of fairly quickly. Not to mention that we got another government shutdown looming. Did you know that? Yeah, we got another coming. They're going to do it all over again. We are moving at a snail's pace towards socialism, and nobody's doing anything. They think that they've got all the time in the world. Well, what they don't realize is that it's slow, slow, slow until it's not. It seems slow right now because it's taken so long to get the first socialist in office, in a major office like New York, Mamdani. Think about that. A socialist, the mayor of New York City, largest city in the country, financial capital of the world. Well, kinda. London's really the financial capital of the world, but you know what I'm saying. And think about that. I mean, let that sink in for just a moment. Mamdani's a socialist, which is, what is it? It's an antithesis to, not antithesis, it's, I can't get the word out. It's not antithetical. The opposite of the Constitution. It's the complete opposite. They are contrary. You cannot have socialism and the Constitution. They do not exist together. They cannot exist together. But we're being told that we got to swallow it. Yeah, they do. Folks, the first force, or the first way that you know that you're no longer a citizen, that you're a subject, and you've been subjugated, is when they tell you here's the law, no one's above the law, they break the law, you call them on it, they say, you don't know what you're talking about, you're a threat to the security of this nation. And then they pardon their son when they said they weren't going to pardon their son, just showcasing that there are people above the law. This is the nation that we now live in today. How did we get here? Because we allowed kid fuckers to think that it was all right, that they could start speaking publicly. Think about that. This is the area that I'm really interested in most in my life, is the area of justification. What a human can justify when they think they're in the right. What they can justify doing to another person when they think that they're in the right. What they can justify feeling about another group of people because they think that they're in the right. Do I think, for example, that Somalia is a shithole and the people there from there are garbage? Not all of them. No. There's always the outlier. There's always the nice guy that gets it, assimilates. But they're rare. That's why we can speak against these big groups. You see, the only thing that Democrats have right now against Trump is name calling, what I call nine-year-old girl stuff, right? 9-year-old girls complain about what somebody else said about them, the words that they used, how they looked, what clothes they were wearing. It's feminine. Yet all these men are out there doing it. All these Democrat men are out there doing the exact same thing. Well, Trump said this, and he... Sticks and stones, folks, sticks and stones. Democrats think that that really affects the base. It doesn't. We couldn't give two fucks. I made a video earlier tonight where Democrat after Democrat after Democrat was going off about what Trump is doing. It's like, shut up. That's what we voted for. Your bad news makes me giddy. This is exactly what we wanted. A 19-year-old, and by the way that they tell the stories, the lies that they tell. 19-year-old standing in line, going to become an American citizen. They don't tell you that they'd already had an order to be removed for 2 or 3 years. When they found out where they were, they said, oh, you've been in the country illegally. We know you've gone through the process, but you did it all illegally. You can't do it the way that you've done it. Now, you're welcome to come back, but you can't stay. Folks, this is what the left does. They forget to tell you that the person robbed the bank, and then the police picked him up. Did you see that? They just picked him right up off the street. No warrant, no nothing. Well, didn't they rob a bank? Well yeah, beside that, you can't argue with that. You can't reason with that, and you definitely cannot compromise with that. That's what they're doing today. You had this idiot today when Kristi Noem was in front of Congress, or in front of Congress. He said that the murder and the shooting of 2 of our National Guard units in D.C., that it was just a accident. Goofy accident. Our military members were shot, and they call it just a hapless accident. Didn't know what happened. I was. You can't compromise with these people, folks. Because these people can justify allowing other adults to fuck your kids, and they'll actively support it. They won't say it today, but when it comes down to it, they will. You ask them. You ask them today, well, would you support lowering the age of consent to 14 years old? Would you do that, Senator? Well, I think it'd have to be studied. They will not say no. They will not give you a definitive answer. Why? Because they don't care. They have no morals. They have no core. They have nothing to believe in. They're vessels that can be filled with anything. So they'll spew anything. They'll say anything. Anything to get that fucking money. If you haven't heard, Dan Crenshaw is going all after Sean Ryan. Why? Because Sean Ryan wants to know how Dan Crenshaw's living the life that he's living. And instead of Dan's doing what he should do, which is answer to the American people and say, well, this is how I'm living, he threatened him. He threatened him not only with violence, from what it sounds like to me, but he threatened him with the power of his office. Folks, this shit's got to stop. They're all out of control. They've been doing it for so long. They think that they belong there. They think that it's theirs, that there's nothing that we can do. In part 3 tonight, we're going to be talking about what we can do. People keep asking the same question. I've been telling them that in 18 to 36 months, we've got some real problems. This isn't a kicking it down the can thing so I can grow a base and make a lot of money, because I don't do that shit. I come here warning you, we are in a world of hurt. And you sitting there, not doing anything about it, isn't helping us. I keep being asked, what do we do? What do we do? What do you think we do? What did our founding fathers do? You keep expecting these corrupt crooks in Washington, D.C. And let me give you an example. Let me walk you down what just happened in the state of Indiana. The constituents of the state of Indiana are deeply red. We have a supermajority in the House. We've got a 50-10 ratio of senators in the Senate. And we couldn't get redistricting through? Why? Corruption. That's all it is, folks. They're owned. These politicians are owned. So if you want to fix D.C., you got to fix your home base first. You got to make sure your home base is fixed. Because if you can't fix it, you can't even hope to fix D.C. Home first. And then demand that these motherfuckers keep those motherfuckers in line. And if they don't, well, you know where they live locally, don't you? You see, that's the whole thing. I keep asking people, they say, I want to fight, I want a revolution. And I'm talking about people on both sides, right? I say the same thing to them. Who are you going to shoot first? You go to revolution tomorrow. You start the Civil War tomorrow. You guys go all head out across the field with your guns and your packs and you're looking good, right? Who are you going to shoot first? Where are you going? Who do you attack? Who's waiting on you? What other army is out there ready to fight you? I don't know exactly. You're just angry. You just want to kill someone. You don't want to take a country back. You don't even know what you're fighting for yet. Oh, I'm fighting for the Constitution. Really? You didn't fight for it when they violated it in 16. You didn't do it when it was there in 18. You didn't show up in 2020 when they rigged an election and released a pathogen on the world. You didn't do any of that then. We expect you're going to show up now? You won't even show up to stop your kids from getting fucked. You hear about these things in your school. I go to the school board meetings. People don't show up around here. We have big news going on about what's going on. Nobody shows up. Somebody else will fix it. Really? Really? Let me remind you, we're here because we allowed other people control our proxies. We gave them control, but they went out and enriched themselves. They're telling us that they need more. That I got in late. I'm going to need some more. This is what Dan Crenshaw's doing. Dan Crenshaw says that Congress needs a raise because he just can't make it on $174,000 a year. Maybe it's all those eye patches that he's buying. Folks, I don't know what to tell you other than this. Bad days are ahead. It's not going to get any worse, or any better rather, until you get involved. It's not going to get any better. The crooks are going to do what the crooks are going to do. I keep telling you the same thing over and over and over again. For those that tune into my program, it's got to be boring. I can imagine it, right? Because my message is pretty consistent. It's you. You're the problem. You want term limits? We have term limits, but you're too fucking lazy to use them. The primaries are the term limits, you dumbasses. The primaries, that's the term limit. How many people in the state of Indiana voted in the primary in 2024? 9%. 9% of eligible GOP voters, 9%. That's what voted in the primary. And you wonder why we can't get any fresh blood into the GOP, into the GOP. You wonder why the same old guys keep getting elected over and over and over again, how you can't get any fresh blood. We had a guy running back in 2024 for the House in District 4 in Indiana. Former Green Beret, Bronze Star recipient, business owner, connected to the community. Nope. No, he couldn't cut through because nobody would fucking vote for him. Nobody voted for him. Why? Because only 9% showed up. And those 9% that show up, do you know who they are? They're the very oldest of the old. And they don't vote for anybody but the establishment. It's the 70 and 80-year-olds. It's guys like me. Now, I'm not one of those guys. And hopefully, younger guys like myself are starting to learn. But the majority just vote for whoever the party put up. So I'm going to circle back around. Do you think that we would have the problem with doctors making millions and millions and millions off of the transitioning of our kids if you were involved on a regular basis, just once or twice a month maybe? Spend a little time, a little investment in your kids. This is happening because you think that somebody else is going to do what you should be doing. I don't trust them, folks. Do you trust them? Why would you trust them with your kids? They've already told you what they're going to do. Why would you trust them? I can tell you why. It's easier to trust them. It's the lazy way out. Oh, it's their job. They'll take care of it. Here's what I found. The more involved you get with your life, the more involved you get with the things that run your life, the more you get loud about what you don't like to these people in their positions, the more things change. But you sit at home, on your couch, acting like a fucking potato, nothing changes. Status quo. And you bitch and you moan. And you think that somebody else is going to do it for you. Nobody else is going to do it for you. Folks, it's going to take all of us. All of us. We'll talk about that in Section 3. We'll be right back with Liz Brown after this.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
Learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it. Please visit thecramersezproject.com.
The price of plastic is going up, way up.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense.
And no, it's not because of Trump's tariffs or the wars around the globe. It's because corporations like Walmart and Colgate have swallowed the left's recycling fairy tale, hook, line, and sinker.
I'm Paul Chesser, director of the National Legal and Policy Center's Corporate Integrity Project.
At this year's shareholder meetings, the National Legal and Policy Center decided to do something radical, like saying the quiet part out loud.
We're bringing these proposals to bring truth to where there's been a lot of lies and light where there's been a lot of darkness.
So what exactly is the left's big lie? That endlessly recycling plastics is sustainable, magical, and saves the planet. Now, here's the truth.
Companies like Walmart and Colgate are following a playbook by the environmental left who believe that there's an infinitely circular economy that can be created by endlessly recycling plastics.
Spoiler! The left's magical circular recycling economy is actually a black hole that swallows big profits and spits out higher prices.
It costs more for everything they want to do. It doesn't make any economic sense. Forcing recycling into the whole process of plastic packaging is bad for the consumers, it's bad for the shareholders, and it's bad for the planet.
Logic isn't what these companies are after. They want praise from activist investors and ESG cultists. Meanwhile, real shareholders like the NLPC are left to clean up the mess.
The political left have driven these corporations leftward on the recycling issue and specifically with plastics packaging.
The NLPC proposed a revolutionary idea. Use science and economics before you blow millions on virtue signaling. Genius, right?
We are calling for an injection of truth and objective scientific and economic analysis that can be considered seriously and drive down costs as opposed to driving up costs that these shareholder proposals from the left have brought in.
And what's the goal? Simple. Lower costs, fewer emissions, and actual results. Not glossy brochures full of woke buzzwords and mythical outcomes.
It's unrealistic, and so our proposal calls for truth in recycling in their policies. That will help reduce the cost of their plastic packaging. It reduces the weight, it lowers emissions, and it does actual environmental improvement by having a real scientific and economic analysis rather than a propaganda approach to plastics policies.
You'd think that would be obvious, but in today's ESG boardrooms, common sense is considered more dangerous than toxic waste.
We act on behalf of ourselves and our fellow shareholders to put true economics and scientific research in all the policies that corporations institute. That improves shareholder return.
And that wraps up this episode of the NLPC Report. For more information or to get in-depth reporting on this story and more, please visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project, and today in Indiana, we got some really bad news. The Indiana State Senate decided to pull the rug out from underneath all of us and decide not to redistrict the state of Indiana in the way that we wanted it done. The people wanted it. A bunch of state legislators wanted it, and the Senate came together, and for whatever reason, a bunch of them, 21 of them, I understand, decided not to go along with Trump and decided to go along with the Democrats. In what's supposed to be, a Republican state, a MAGA state. They're not listening to you, the people. They're listening to the Democrats more than they are you. They'd rather side with the Democrats more than they would you. So I thought it was time to get this aired out. Liz Brown, who is an Indiana State Senator, has been working on this for a while. She has been one of the loudest voices for redistricting here in the state. And tonight she's joining me to talk about this issue and how devastating it is. Liz, the House passed it easy. Why'd the Senate choke?
I don't know. I mean, I would have sworn last Friday we had the votes, and I actually thought we'd have more than 26 votes. And there were so many of my colleagues who voted no today who were on the fence or quietly said they were yes, but they were holding their powder or whatever. And I mean, even as last night, we thought it might be 50-50. I am just shocked. I just don't even know what to say. I mean,
well,
we had.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Jump in there.
I mean, we have, as you mentioned, we have a Republican governor. We have a supermajority in the House. 70 out of 100 House members. 40 out of 50 senators are Republican. We have voted for Trump three times. And I'm sure the White House thought this was going to be a cakewalk. I thought it was going to be a cakewalk. And we just, choked isn't the word for it.
Liz, when we met each other years ago, when I was working with the caucus in the House, and back then, Indiana was considered the second most conservative state in the nation. Today, it's considered the 23rd or 24th. Would you find that surprising?
Well, I've been there through that. It's depressing. I mean, as you know, we were the first state to come right out after Dobbs and pass the pro-life bill. I mean, we were leading. Yeah. I can't tell you what happened. But this is a harbinger of things to come. This is not good.
Well, that's what I think conservatives across this entire state are thinking about. That we're seeing, and I got to be real honest with you. I'm not a big fan of all of these government developments that are going in across the, quasi-private public entities where they hide the money from us. That's a whole different issue. But what we're seeing is that our representatives are not doing what we want. And at that point, they're not representatives, right? I mean, we've had this conversation before.
Right.
You serve the people. So when the people are saying this is what they want, this is what we should do as representatives. And the fact is, the Democrats, Liz, are gerrymandering on a regular basis in every other state. Most states are gerrymandered to the max. Why wouldn't Republicans in the Senate want to at least match what the Democrats are doing so we're all playing on the same playing field?
Tim, today a Democrat had the audacity to talk about how we should use a nonpartisan redistricting commission that would be honest and fair. This is a Democrat who then doesn't respond when asked about California, which tossed that honest and fair independent commission to draw up new maps. I mean, that's what they do. Please play by the rules. Let's be honest and fair. And then they just totally run over us, which is what happened today. I mean, 10 Democrats won today. That's really what it comes down to. I just can't wrap my head around it.
Do you think that the bomb threats against some of the pro-redistricting candidates, do you think that was one of the issues? People were scared to put their name on the line?
No, I don't, because what people don't realize, first of all, is people on both sides of this have been receiving threats. And I can only think, and that's horrible. That should not happen. That should never happen at all. And, God bless the state police who have had to work overtime in protecting us and also trying to investigate these horrible people, maybe a crazy in a basement, but maybe a true threat. And that's terrible. But, that wasn't it. I mean, I just think they didn't realize this is a state senator's one opportunity to influence the balance of power in Congress. We get to draw the maps. And we found out after the last time we redistricted that the maps are wrong across the country because the census was wrong. And there's no way to fix that. We can't take seats away from California. Heck, they're adding seats, right? We can't do that. The only thing we can do to make sure the balance of power is better, not great, in DC is for us to try to make it in our little state with 9 seats. And I don't know why my colleagues don't understand that. They all claim they're solid Republicans. I will bet you they voted for Trump and Republicans since the day they could vote, and I just don't understand it.
Well, Trump is threatening primarying these people that decided not to go along with him. Do you think that'll change up or shake up the basket here in 26? Do we have how many of the 21 that didn't vote? How many are up for re-election in 26? Do you know?
I'd have to, but I don't. I know a fair number. There are 20 out of 50 of us. 22 Republicans seats are up next year.
Oh wow!
So probably a good share of those. I know a couple. I'd have to go back and look at the list, but yeah.
Well,
but
you
it's
don't have to worry about.
We've ruined the brand for the state. I mean, let's be honest.
I agree. I've been bitching and moaning about it for the last 4 or 5 years. It just keeps going bluer and bluer, and we've got the seats, right? We've got control, but it's a lot of times, Liz, it's not conservative values that I see that are most important to these people sitting in the State House. Is Rod Bray now public enemy number one?
Well, I just saw the White House may have that opinion. I just think, though, people need to understand that what happens in DC does affect us. You want to talk about affordability and bringing down inflation and all of those things. That's not something little Indiana can do on its own. We need people in Congress. And if the Democrats can't control, they don't care about Indiana or conservative values or our interests. It's going to be Democratic socialism all day long. So
yeah, I agree. Is there any plan to readdress this or fix it by 2026, or is this a done issue?
I mean, technically, since the bill was defeated, this bill, technically you can bring another bill back as long as it's not the same, and you could get a map maker and draw new maps and all that, but you also have to have someone to let the bill go through. And of course, that's not till January now, right?
Right.
I mean, I guess in theory, the governor could call us back, but now we're 2 weeks before Christmas. Then you have to have people come in. It's complicated drawing the maps. So I don't know. I mean, that's obviously a decision I can't make.
Well, I'm going to take away it's probably not going to happen. That's my takeaway from what you just said.
No, I don't know. Miracles happen every day.
Okay, so I've got one last question for you. Bray's not up for re-election, so he's not going to get primaried in this go-around, but who do you think would be the first person that Trump would go after? Are you going to name names for me?
Well, he's already called out leadership. I mean, he's not subtle. He's called out people he thinks have been behind the scenes. You know, I don't know anything about that. What I think is devastating is what it's going to do to our country, right? I mean, the trickle down, what they do in DC affects us, and it doesn't matter if we have a supermajority because we can't affect those tax cuts. And if the one big beautiful bill goes away, no immigration reform. I mean, I can go on, right? Defense Department is gutted, all of those things. We can't affect that, but eventually that affects us, right? At the same time. And of course, we just handed a win to 10 Democrats, for crying out loud. Yep. I mean, I don't think they could raise money at a church service, and we've just given them a win and a
that's a huge win. Huge. Yep.
I mean, it's crazy. 100%.
Well, and I'll tell you what, Liz, if I were doing ads against these 21, I would associate them with the Democrats 100%. Well, that when given the opportunity to do the right thing, you know, a direct order from the leader of our party saying, hey, listen, we got to do this to be able to be competitive nationally, and they decided to side with Indiana Democrats? For what reason? I mean, the only thing that we can see from our side, we're in the cheap seats back here, right? Just observing what you guys are doing. But it always seems it's either incompetence or corruption or a combination of both. And I think that people are really getting tired of it.
Blissful ignorance. I just can't fathom. I just feel like they just thought this really isn't that big of a deal. And it's a big deal. It's a big deal for our country. I mean, I would have told you 10 years ago you couldn't have a Mondami being elected in New York City.
Right.
I mean, that's just the tip of the spear. So it's going to happen over and over again. I mean, the Democrats played so nice this week. I felt like I was in some sci-fi. They were so quiet and respectful. I mean, months ago they were blasting us. The Democratic senators were racist. We're all this for doing this. Now it's like we were having kumbaya moments. It was disturbing because they knew what was going to happen, right?
Don't ruin the win. Don't ruin it. No, you don't. You don't have to step on your own right now, right? I mean, that's what the Republicans are doing. I think we've got a lot of Republicans that need to explain why they did what they did to their constituents. I think that that's going to happen. And to anybody that's out there that's going to run in Indiana against any of these 21, hit me up. I'll help you out. Liz, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. Have a great night.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
From the halls of Congress
Across the nation.
and around the globe.
You're getting the latest news and conservative views.
You're watching the CramerSez Project.
Global news with local views.
CramerSez returns after this message from our partners.
They lied about it. They tried to hide it.
It was 100% unconstitutional. That's what we were saying in 2024.
I could have sworn that yesterday we learned that the FBI tapped my phone.
And today the NLPC has been vindicated by Senator Grassley's document dump, revealing Jack Smith illegally and unconstitutionally spied on American citizens.
Jack Smith spied on members of the United States Senate. What is this, East Germany?
Grassley's document dump has revealed that Jack Smith's team illegally seized call logs from Ron Johnson, Lindsey Graham, Mike Lee, and Josh Hawley in the unconstitutional 2023 Arctic Frost Probe.
From the outset, we said Jack Smith's appointment was unconstitutional. A federal judge vindicated that view. Now we see the connection between unconstitutional prosecutions and illegal evidence gathering.
The NLPC has been on top of this story from the beginning. Follow or subscribe to the NLPC on this platform for more. Or visit the National Legal and Policy Center at nlpc.org.
To learn more about the CramerSez Project, our mission, and how you can become a part of it,
please visit thecramersezproject.com.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome. My name is Kramer. This is the CramerSez Project. Be prepared to be yelled at. This is what this segment's all about. I started it in the last segment, but I want to be real clear about what we're talking about tonight. Our nation is on the brink. Everybody can see it. There's no hyperbole here. I'm not jacking things up to make them seem worse than they are. You see the prices. You see what's going on. You know what the debt in your own family is, and the nation is at $36 trillion. It's never going to be paid back. And when we get to positions like this in history, folks, there's only 3 ways to solve it. 3. Pestilence, war, financial collapse, and ruin. That's it. There's no other solutions. You can say anything you want. You can kind of try and come up with all kinds of different reasons or things. You're not going to. Why? Because history shows us the same thing over and over and over seems to be the case. One thing. These people can't be trusted. They want to rule the world. They've told us they want a one world government. And in that one world government, you will own nothing and be happy. Now, I've talked about how they're going to do it. We can see them building the systems around us. But they never destroy the old system until the new system is ready to go. It'd be stupid to do that. But more importantly, it'd be stupid to build it with new world money. You see, they can build it for cheap right now because, well, they're using fake money that they're going to get away with. They're just going to do away with it here soon. Oh, they can't do that. They just got rid of the penny, because the penny costs too much to produce. Donald Trump just said that starting next year, all taxes will have to be done through digital means. We're moving to a digital world. They're getting us away from cash. They want to go to a CBDC, a stable coin, a digital currency. That's what they want. Trump is pushing for the real ID. Now, folks, this is the realization I came to. Trump is doing these things now. When I realized what was going on, what I realized is the hands that move the things that need to be moved are working years in advance, and they're working on both sides. Joe Biden couldn't get it done fast enough, so they put Trump back in. And the moment Trump's gone, the moment he's been used for what they need him used for, he's gone. If you think anything other, if you think that there's some other, thing going on here that is going to change and all of a sudden things are going to get better, no, things aren't going to get better. They've told you what they want. So the question is, what do we do? Right? You've heard the message. What do we do? Well, what do you think we do? Folks, if what I have in mind and what they've said that they're going to do, if these two things coalesce to the degree I think they're going to, and the reason they're doing it, they know that by turning off the lights for a year, they thin the herd by 90% in this nation alone. They do that around the planet. They do that in Great Britain. They do that in France. They do that in Germany. It only takes a year to reset the entire planet, because 90% of the people would die. And a lot of those that had immigrated into the areas that they've never really known, they will migrate back home. They will go back to the places they fled because they know it's better there. They can at least survive there. They can't survive in this new world. They're going to starve to death here, so they better get in a boat and head back the other way. What happens when the lights have gone out for a year? Well, you're not going to... Folks, I want you to understand that the planning on this, and Jess and I talked about it on our show on Monday. There's this image that most Americans, a lot of delusional conservatives have in their mind that they will live on their own. They'll get a tent and they'll go off into the woods. They'll survive off the land. They will make it illegal to hunt any lands, just like the kings did. It was illegal to hunt on the king's estate. It was illegal to hunt the king's deer. Why? Because they controlled the serfs. They controlled the masses through hunger. That's how you control them. If you can't control them through currency, you do it through food. If you can't control them through force, you do it through food. It's the easiest way to control people, food. So you can save all the food you want. You can save all the water you want. You can have all the bullets and all the rounds you need, all the guns you need. You can have every firearm on the planet. You can have your own fucking tank. Doesn't matter. You are not standing up against this military, what they're going to do. I don't think that they're going to use the military. I don't think they're going to have to. All they have to do is just shut everything down. And then here's the fact about humans, folks, that you've been starving for a while. Your family's been living hand to mouth, and somebody comes along and gives you the opportunity to put on a uniform and guard people or make sure that people don't escape, and your family will be fed. Guess what'll happen? Overnight. Overnight, the values change. The Constitution out the door, doesn't matter anymore. People are going to do what they're told. They'll do anything for food, folks. Anything. You've seen the food lines around the world as USAID delivered one bag of food. They always filmed it, didn't they? They always filmed it with the kids running after the truck and the women getting beat up by the men, taking their goods away from them. That's going to happen here. It has to happen. So for those of you asking, how do we prepare? Folks, it's too late. There's no prepping for it. You think you can survive a year without any food? Well, no, you don't. No, you don't. Do you know how hard it is to survive without any of the modern essentials that we have? Have you seen any of these, shows with survivalists who train? Train. They are the best of the best. They go out in the woods. They cannot fucking make it. They're starving to death. Why? Because we've got a lot of luxuries in this electric world. Luxuries that you don't even think of. Like the access to fat, to sugar, to carbohydrates at an arm's reach. You don't have that out in the woods. You got to make everything from scratch. It starts at 8 in the morning and goes all the way around 24 hours until 8 in the morning. That's when you're working. That's when you're on the outlook. You're looking for risk and threats, all kinds of stuff. Why? Because you've been, the number one thing that protects us, electricity, has been removed. The number one thing that empowers us, electricity, has been, the thing that gave this nation what it has been removed. You don't even know how your iPhone works, which is, I think, this is interesting. If you've ever thought about how societies disappear and how history gets rewritten, think about it right now. Let's say that 100 years from now, 200 years from now, they dig up and they find a bunch of iPhones sitting around. Scientists will not know, let's say 1,000 years. Let's give it 1,000 years. Scientists won't know what that device is. They may have some idea. They won't know how it works. They won't have the power source or the plugs or anything to get it powered up. They may understand it if they've got the advanced training. But we've gone through these dark ages before. Again, the question that I keep getting is, what do we do? Folks, there's nothing to do. It's too late. You sat back for too long and you didn't act. The only chance that we have, potentially, if there's any at all, and I say this laughingly, is the 2026 election. That's it. Are you saying that the next election is the most important election? No, I'm saying if we have it and you have the opportunity, you should vote everybody else out and vote for MAGA, 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 nobody but MAGA. Angry people like myself. Those of us that are running. They got a bunch of Republicans that are fleeing the sinking ship, like the rats that they are. There's 22 congressional members leaving in this next cycle. It'll be higher by the time, I think it'll be 50. I think it'll be 50 members by the time we get done with all this, somewhere in that ballpark. Why are they leaving? Jig's up. America's changing. Or it's the end. Do you think that they're afraid of Trump being exposed? No. It's the end, folks. Why stay in that cesspool if it's the end? Why keep going and doing what you hate to do if it's the end? You know when your team has lost 48-3, but you stick around for hoping, last 30 seconds of the game, just hoping it'll happen. We're in the last 30 seconds of the game. We're $36 trillion in debt. Nobody's ever going to pay that back. It's either war, pestilence, or financial collapse. What do you think is going to happen? We've got 18 to 36 months. Think you can prepare enough between now and then? No, you can't. Because there's nothing to prepare for. The world that they have planned after that is worse than the one we've got today. They'll take that year when they shut things down, folks, and what they'll do is they will prepare for what's going to happen next. And what they'll do is they'll open a city. For example, they'll say, hey, if you're around the Cincinnati, Ohio area, there's a help center in Cincinnati. Get down there. There's food, showers, housing. Oh, man, it's awesome. Get down there and get yourself hooked up. So you make the trek down to Cincinnati, Ohio from wherever you are. When you get there, you realize that to get food, to get shower, to get housing, well, it's a whole new America. You're going to have to hand in your guns. They just can't trust you with those in here. No, they don't want any problems. This is a gun-free zone now. And you don't have to keep your mouth shut. But you won't be able to dissent. There's no free speech, no Fourth Amendment, no Fifth Amendment, none of those things that really matter to your freedom. You waited too long. So how do you prepare? Should have done that 10 years ago. I've been fighting this fight for almost 15 years. I've been screaming like this for 15 years. I've been telling people that you got to get ready, you got to get ready, you got to get ready. See, the powers that be utilize whoever's in power to get what they want done. That's how powerful they are. And they don't have to nudge hard. They just make a nudge here and a nudge there. Let me give you an example of what one of those nudges are. Remember during the 2020 election and Brian Kemp, the governor of Georgia, his little girl, you remember her boyfriend getting blown up? Mm-hmm. Car bomb, killed him. Yeah, that's one of those little nudges. Suddenly, Brian Kemp shut his mouth about free and fair elections. When they show you they can get to you, they get to you. They don't have to kill you. They just have to do, well, I don't know, something that will leverage you or make you think twice. Like Mike Johnson, the speaker, he was all gung-ho. He was not going to sign this $1.9 trillion spending bill. Joe Biden's trash Green New Deal bill. He's not signing that. And then he signed it. Why? Not only did he sign it, but he got other people to sign it. Why? Because his stepson got picked up for dealing drugs in D.C. When you know what's going on, it changes all the things that happen. You realize that they're not happening because they're just happening. They're happening because people are leveraged. They're owned. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that's getting any better? Do you think it's ever going to get any better? No. D.C.'s lost. Forget about D.C. Let's turn home. What did we just find out that was going on in Minneapolis? Somewhere in the ballparks of a $15 billion fraud from Somalians? And the government, the state government, nobody in state government didn't know anything about it? Really? You think that's the case? You think that's real? You buying that shit? I don't. And if that's happening in Minneapolis, that's happening in Minnesota, that's happening in Indiana, it's happening in Texas, it's happening in California and Oklahoma and Florida. The corruption is everywhere. And it's so deep that when you get really, really, really good at it, they go, you know what? You're too good for us around here. We're going to send you to D.C., where you can do some real damage. So for those of you asking, what do? You pray. You didn't go to the school board meeting. You didn't show up in the primaries. You didn't pay attention to politicians and what they were doing. You thought that they were going to go do the right thing, or you believed their message and you didn't follow up on them, and you didn't realize that guys like Dan Crenshaw and others were crooks. Dan Crenshaw saying he can make enough at $174,000 a year. And how dare you do away with this insider trading that we utilize to enrich us and our friends? How dare you? Do you know what we've never seen? We saw Martha Stewart go to prison for insider trading. You know, we've never seen any of the friends of any of our congressional members go to prison for that, because I can guarantee you they're sharing that information. If they're being enriched by it, they're sharing it with their friends. Do you get that opportunity? I don't get that opportunity. So let me ask you a question again. I want to make sure that I'm pounding this into your fucking heads. You ready? Who's going to fix it? They're all in on it. They're all either in on it or too afraid to do anything about it. So who's going to fix it? And how do you prepare? For what? This is what I don't understand. I've tried to pound it into your heads by preaching on a regular basis about what they're doing and what's going to happen. That was the whole gist of my content for the last 5 years. Here's where we're going. Pay attention. Get more involved. Because if you don't, eventually you're going to be on the end of a food line. They keep telling you what they're going to do. My advice is when rich, powerful people tell me that they're going to hurt me, I believe them. I take them at their word. I don't test them. I believe them. You should too. They're telling you that they want to run the world, that they want to rule the world, that they want your children to be their slaves. That's what they're saying. You'll own nothing and be happy? Don't fucking tell me what I'll be. I'm an American citizen, you fucking cunts. Now I just seem angry all the time, right? You guys seem so subdued, so laid back. Well, Kramer, you go fight the good fight. I'm so glad that you're doing what you're doing. Keep it up. No, I don't want to do it. I want you here with me. I want you in the streets with me. That's where you make the change. Why do you think that the DC crowd and the deep state got so fucking scared about January 6th? Now, it was a scam. It was a setup. We weren't there that day to go into that building. When I saw what was going on, I was right there at the front. I ain't doing that. Come on, buddy, let's go. No, no, I ain't doing that. That's crazy. No, there are dudes on horses right over there. You see them? Fuck that, I ain't going in there. Nope. Knock yourself out, Patriot. I'm standing back here. Now, I was called chicken. Some of the guys I went with called me a chicken. Yep. I didn't have to get a lawyer. They did. Scared the shit out of them. Why? For the same reason that the issue in Nepal happened. Folks, you got to understand that our nation was founded by a bunch of men who, by force, ripped this nation away from the greatest empire on the face of the earth at that time. Think about that. But they took action. They didn't wait for somebody else to go do it. They didn't wait for an excuse. They said, you know, the excuse is that we're going to use is those motherfuckers are crooks. They're criminals. They're violating law. They're violating the Constitution. They're violating my rights and infringing it on me on a daily basis. The Founding Fathers said, when that fucking starts happening again, we have the authority, in fact, the responsibility to rip those fuckers out. So that's how you prepare. I've been saying it. This thing turned sideways. I'm not going to D.C. to get anybody. I'm going after the people in the state of Indiana that allowed it to fucking happen. When the lights go out and the laws are no more, those are the people I'm going for. You destroyed the world that I lived in. You enriched yourself and your friends while you were doing it. For that, you're going to be held accountable. I've got my list. Do you got yours? DC's lost. Not going to happen. Kramer, you're talking about violence. No, I'm talking about retribution, accountability. I got to tell you, folks, I'm getting a little pissed off about this bullshit with Trump. I'm getting a little pissed off that we're not seeing people perp walked. We haven't seen anybody in handcuffs. They're sending out their hey guys, we're needing some help coming up with the 2026 election. Gonna need your financial support. Fuck you cunts. Deliver on 2024 promises, 2022 promises, 2020 promises. Start delivering on those and maybe we'll loosen up the money. Ain't gonna happen though. So again, who are you going to have fix this problem? We can't trust the Republicans. We can't trust the Democrats. They're playing for the same team. I don't care what Trump says at this point. People go, well, you're anti-Trump. I'm not anti-Trump. He's my fucking president. But he works for me. He works for you. And he ain't doing what's best for us right now. He's more concerned with whatever's going on in fucking Venezuela. He's got all these deals that he's doing. The tariffs were the most important thing. Had to get that out of the gate. The economy, the economy, the economy. I don't give a fuck about the economy. The economy's going to tank anyway. We're $36 trillion in debt. You know what I want to see? I want to see those fucking traitors held accountable. That's what I want to see. I want to see the doctors who said it was safe and effective and forced it into the arms of children. I want them to fucking be held accountable. Don't you? Now, do these people right now, do they think, honestly, that they're going to be held accountable? Nope. Hillary's not worried about that. Comey's not worried about that. Barack Obama's not worried about that. They're going about their day like nothing ever changed. Because for them, it didn't. Why? Because they know nothing will happen. I kept having faith. Here's the thing. I'm going to show up to town halls for Republicans. And I'm going to ask the hard questions from these cunts when they start saying, I'll be there to fight and support for you. No, you won't. Now, you know I'm a Republican. I'm a conservative first, though. Before that, I'm an American. America first, by law. These people will not do what's right, folks. They're more interested in building LEAP projects in northern Indiana, where they bring in hundreds of millions of dollars and enrich themselves and go to the big parties. They just had a big party downtown celebrating what they're doing with your dollars. They're giving your money to these businesses who come into the community. By the way, this is how it works. They come into your community, make you pay for their streets, the sewage, the power, everything. Your taxes go up so they can come in and bring you jobs. Why are you paying them to bring you jobs? You're offering them a clean, great community where they can come and be a part of it. No, you don't get any fucking tax rebates. You don't get an abatement. No, you're part of the community now. You pay the same rate we all pay because we're all in it together, motherfuckers. But not in our politicians today. No, that's not how they do it. You know what they do? They find this little deal. Well, we're going to get this company to come in. Now, what they'll do is they'll come in, they'll work here for about 10 years. We'll give them all these abatements. Once we meet them and they get that tax thing done, by the way, there's a lot of these agreements aren't based on a specific time period, right? It's an attainment level. So you have to get up to a certain level. And then once you're there, it doesn't say how long you have to hold it. Some of these companies will get up there for 90 days and then fire those people, get them back off the rolls. They've got their tax abatement. They met the threshold. And then the taxpayers are stuck with this entity. Then 10, 15 years later, business changed. They decide it doesn't suit them to be in your quaint little community. And so they move out, leaving this giant behemoth. And then the politicians go, hey, we got this new company coming in. They only need $15 billion to add on to the facility here. So we're going to help them with a tax abatement. We're going to give them some money. No. we're done with it. If my tax dollars is the only thing that can make your company viable, you don't have a company. You're a leech. And we don't need you. You need to start talking like this to your politicians showing up. I talked the other night to a group and phone call, heated conversation, Republicans, telling me that they wanted a data center. They didn't want it coming. And I said, well, here's what you have to do. You've got to show up to the, well, Tim, that is a lot of work. Okay, then don't do it. I still get my fee paid. I don't give a shit. That's where I am with people anymore. They sit there and they say that they want to do this, this, and this. And when you tell them, here's what it's going to take to make it happen. My son said it one time. He says, Dad, you're always telling me no. I'm not telling you no. I'm telling you this is what it takes to even hope to be successful. You've got to do all this work up front without ever knowing whether it's going to work or not. And if you're not willing to invest that, then you're not ready to own a company. trust me, if you're not willing to do that work up front for free without ever knowing whether it's going to work or not, you're not prepared to run your own company. It'll never be successful, ever. I wasn't telling him no, I was telling him what it took. The same thing with everybody else. This is what it takes. You want to hope of not having to live in the fucking woods or watch your child die of starvation because these elites want to turn off the light and starve you guys out? It's the only option they have. Right? We've gone through all of them. They could do a war, but they don't want to destroy what they're building. They just want you to die. And by the way, if you look at the data centers that they're building, all the infrastructure that they're building for the new world, have you taken a look at it? Yeah, it's built like a brick shit house. It's built to be defended. Did you see the encampments that FEMA built? Remember that? They said they're going to use that to round up illegal aliens and be just like the Nazi internment camps or the Holocaust camps. No, that's not what they're for. They're to manage the crowds after the fall. Those are the first camps that they'll open. They're secure. You can go there. You can give up your guns, your free speech, and you can get a house and a cot and a hot meal and a shower. That's the new America that they have planned for you. So when you ask me, what do we do? How do we prepare? I would get a small bag available. A small bag that'll carry just, a few clothes, the stuff that you're going to keep with you, sentimental stuff, because everything else will be lost. Everything else is gone, folks. There's no saving it. A friend of mine, he goes, how do you go through life being this negative? And I go, it's not negative. It's when you're going down the road and your tire goes flat on your car, right? Do you keep driving because you don't want to be negative? Or do you pull over and fix the problem? That's where we are. We got a flat tire. And we're in a position of, do we keep driving on this flat tire and pretending that it's not flat, hoping that it doesn't tear everything up? Or do we pull over and get it fixed? Well, if we pull over and get it fixed, the requirements are you've got to get involved. That's what happened with our founding fathers. I keep hearing this thing, when and where. No, you're not ready, folks. If you have to ask when and where, and you're not a leader, you're not the guy. You're not going to play a part. This goes sideways. The people who are really good at killing, our special forces, the military, they're going to rule everything. Those guys, the guys with that training, yeah, they're the new warlords. They will be the first. They already know how to do it. Charlie Bookwalter, who ran for office in Indiana back in the 4th against Jim Baird back in 24, primaried him. He's special forces, Green Beret. And former, he's retired. And he had a fundraiser where he brought in a bunch of former Green Beret and current Green Beret, CIA, operators for a fundraiser. And we got to train with him for the day. Folks, I have there's no fantasy in my brain where I'm better than one of those guys. Nope. They showed me in 17, 18, 200 different ways how I'm dead before I even think about it. And they weren't trying to be dicks about it. They were just being realistic about it. Your head showing. I can see your head. You're dead. Oh, you poked your elbow out. Your arm's gone. Little things that you don't think about. But they're trained, highly trained, to pick up on that stuff. And you think that you're going to go up against these guys? Seriously? Movies have made us all feel that we're invincible. Nope. The shit happens, folks. It's going to be like being in a car accident. You ever been in a car accident? You know how out of control that feels? And then suddenly when you come to an end, and there's that stop there for a second, and you take assessment of, is everything here? And you realize you got a broken rib and a broken bone in your arm and your femur sticking through your leg, and what are you going to do? The lights go out. These myths that we've created in our heads, and again I say we because I had the same ideas until I started studying I realized how complex it is to survive without the electricity on. Just that. Don't even put the warfare and the Civil War and all that bullshit in there. Just think about it from the perspective of the lights have gone out. If you want to find out how tough it's going to be, turn the lights out. Turn the heat off tonight. Especially if you're up there in South Dakota, North Dakota. You're up there by the border of Canada. You're in Minneapolis. Turn the heat off tonight. See how long you survive. Go out into the woods with whatever you got on your back, because sometimes that will be the case. See how you survive. For a week, don't shop. Don't go to the store. Go to the woods and live off the land. Find somebody that'll let you hunt on their land and go live off the land. Now, keep in mind that at the same time, 250 million Americans are also doing the exact same thing at the exact same time because the stores are all closed. So now you're out in the woods shooting at each other for food, and it's going to turn into a war just in the woods. You see, we war gamed all this out, folks, and it's not that I'm trying to be a black pill and tell you that there's no saving us. There's only one saving us. There's only one thing that could save us, and it's acting now. It's not acting then. It's acting now and telling our politicians, we're going to hold you responsible. And we start with our state representatives. We go to our state representatives. Listen, the world looks like it's falling apart, and you're not doing your part. You're not speaking up. You're not fighting for me. In fact, you're fighting against me. You're fighting for these corporations and these special interest groups harder than you're fighting for me. Now, I just want to put this out there. It's not a threat. It may never even happen. Cramer could be wrong. But in the event the world turns sideways and law and order goes out the window, I'm coming for you first. I can guarantee you that if politicians started getting messages like this from people, face to face, because it's got to be face to face. You've got to do it face to face. They've got to see that you mean it. Don't call them on the phone and threaten them. They'll come and get you. That's a crime. You can't do that. Well, Cramer, aren't you threatening them? No, absolutely not. I tell them that in the event that this happens, if something happens that they caused, and they're not going to start fighting it, I want you to fight against it. I don't want to have this ever happen. I don't want to be up in your face ever again. I'm here now because you're not doing your job. And I'm telling you, when it goes sideways and there's no laws anymore, the police aren't there to protect you, I'm coming for you. You see, in America, we were built on revolution. Everybody in this nation that founded our nation were fucking felons. They were bad boys, the ones who didn't listen, the ones who said, I'm going to do things my way. And if you don't like it, you can fuck off or die. That's where we're getting again. I'm not living the life that they've got planned for us, folks. I'm just not going to do it. I don't want that, and my sons don't want that for their families. They don't want it for their kids. How about you? The people in charge are not going to modify the status quo that is benefiting them. They will never do it. Would you? If you're making $1 million a year and well, there's some people out there, they're not doing as well, and they're kind of upset and everything, and they're saying that you should stop making $1 million a year, what are you going to tell them? You're going to tell them, fuck off. Well, that's exactly what politicians are doing. They've made it. They think that that's the pinnacle of success for them. They've achieved what they wanted to achieve, and if they really, really try, maybe they can make it all the way to the top and be president, and everybody will have to listen to them. That's why Trump's different. Trump didn't go up through the ranks. See, one of the things I understand about that is that folks, I've been gifted my entire life. Everything that I've ever wanted, God has handed me. Everything. Everything that I've ever asked for, I've been given. Now, I've had to work for it. It wasn't free. There was a lot of late nights and 24-hour days. When I say that, people laugh, but my wife reminds the boys all the time. Your dad worked 2 full-time jobs and a part-time job for 5 years to get us ahead of the curve. I wasn't there for the first 5 years of my boys' lives. That was a sacrifice. All success has sacrifice, so does failure. Failure has sacrifice as well. We're learning what that is. You wouldn't make the sacrifice to go to a town hall meeting or a school board meeting or go vote in the primary. And so now we're at the brink in this nation. We're at the brink right now. Oh, Kramer, that it wasn't me. Yeah, it was you. It was me. It was everybody. It was everybody who thought that the politicians would go do their job. Let me ask you a question. How many employees do you have where you work? Are you the best one there? If you're not, if you can't say that, you definitely know who is. But if you're not the best, you have to assume that Congress is the same exact way, folks. No different. Dumb people everywhere. And those people have control of your life. They're trying to control everything. They want to make it an electric world so they can turn it on and turn it off. That's why they need the digital ID. They can turn it on and turn it off. They want complete control of everything in your life. That's why they want electric cars, so they can turn them on and turn them off. Well, they could do that with, no, they couldn't. You see, if they turn it off on an electric car, they can make it to where the electric car does not run at all. But you can always, it's an engine. You can do a runaround on an engine. You can get out of that, whatever. You know, if you've got a motor, they don't want that. I was asked the other day, who's they? And I think that's the $800 billion question. But here's who they is: the people who want to run the world. I'm having a problem speaking tonight. I think it's because I had teeth work done today, so bear with me. I think I still got a little bit of the Novocaine or whatever it is in there, because my this lip right here still feels a little fat. Anyway, they are the richest people on the face of the earth. The families who think that they run things. The groups who think they run things. And for all intents and purposes, they do. That's who wants it. Larry Fink, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street. You know, the usual suspects. But there's a bunch of people behind the scenes that they want it too. And they're rich. And they're insane. Criminally insane. Dr. Mangala insane. And they want a transhuman world. Have you read what they want to do? They want to take the electronics that they've been developing and they want to start sticking them in our bodies to do certain things. It's not science fiction. It's not conspiracy theory. This is what they said they're going to do. This is the world that they're moving toward. They want to put things in your brain so they can both control you and read your mind and give you drugs and change your mood. Can you imagine if there was that implant in me right now and they happen to come across one of these podcasts, right? I'm losing my shit, going off on a rant, and suddenly I'm docile again. I'm back to everything's fine, guys. Don't worry about it. I was just losing my shit there for a minute. That's the world they want. Have you ever watched the Black Mirror series on Netflix? That's the world they want for us. They keep telling you what they want. They show you what they want. They show you this world of utopia where everybody lives in, it's not utopia, folks. It never is. We're humans. Somewhere inside that utopian world, there's a group of people that have a group of kids that they're fucking on a regular basis. And when the child is too old, or they've decided that they're tired of it, they kill it. Get rid of its body. There's somebody that takes care of that for them. That is not hyperbole. That is not conspiracy theory. That's what the Jeffrey Epstein files are all about, right? There wasn't all that mess about Jeffrey Epstein because nothing was going on. Was Trump involved? Who knows? I hope not. Kramer, what are you saying? Listen, there has been so much bullshit around this for so long, and then when Trump says that he doesn't care if MAGA support, well, he wasn't saying that before the election, was he? He wasn't talking that way about the Epstein files before the election. It was after the election that he said, those people who want that information, fuck them. So for you hardcore Trump fans, I'm a Trump fan, but I'm not a fanboy. I'm a citizen. That man works for me. He owes me answers. He owes you answers. He owes the American people answers. He's got time to be at the Kennedy Center. He's got time to go golfing. He's got time to go doing everything else. You know what we haven't seen him make time for? Explaining to the American people why nothing is being done about that rigged 2020 election. Maybe Democrats are right. Maybe he's just a big fat liar. Have you thought about that? That we've been conned by the Don? Because the things that we were told were going to happen haven't happened. And there's been no explanation as to why. Now, there's a bunch of people back there saying, well, it's 5D chess, Kramer. You just don't get it. He's in power. He's the most powerful man on the face of the earth. There's no need for 5D chess at this point. We're done with chess. He can do anything he wants. Look at what he's doing in Venezuela. Is it 5D chess he's playing? Or is he just blowing boats out of the water, telling Maduro, you've got to fucking stop doing what you're doing. You're going to do what we want. You're going to fall in line or all of your people are going to die. Again, I'm telling you that what the government does to other people, they would have no problem doing to you if you were a problem. CIA says that they got a hit squad that goes out every Tuesday. They get their list every Tuesday, every Wednesday. I don't know if you heard, Charlie Kirk was killed on a Wednesday. Makes things interesting, doesn't it? We'll be right back after this. Close things up. See you then.
The CramerSez Project will return
After this important message.
Introducing Tusk.
With Tusk, you get uncensored news and secure browsing,
all while protecting your privacy.
Choose the news you trust and take control of your internet.
Join the free speech revolution with Tusk.
Download Tusk today at tuskbrowser.com.
Did you know the Biden administration gave your tax dollars to illegal aliens so they could afford to lobby Congress to go easy on illegal immigration?
That's not the way I'd put it, but it's basically accurate.
New questions are swirling around a Soros-funded nonprofit that claims to support immigrant rights, but may be violating federal tax law. Alianza Americas received millions of taxpayer dollars from the Biden administration. Now the group stands accused of using those funds to lobby Congress to expand protections for illegal immigrants.
Well, we caught them. The name of the group is Alianza Americas, and it's an open borders group. They were illegally lobbying Congress, trying to protect illegal aliens from having to leave the country under something called temporary protected status. They received taxpayer money, millions of dollars from the Department of Health and Human Services. They also receive quite a lot of money from the Open Society Foundations. That's George Soros's foundations. Over the last couple weeks, they've been pouring kerosene on the flames out in Los Angeles, calling President Trump an authoritarian and alleging that the law enforcement personnel have been engaged in violent attacks on peaceful protesters, when we know it's quite the opposite. This group has broken the law. On their annual tax return, they say they never lobbied Congress, but we know that they have. We have the proof, and we've presented it to the Internal Revenue Service, and we hope and believe the IRS should act on them and review the tax status of this open borders group.
It's for these reasons the National Legal and Policy Center has filed 2 complaints with the IRS, alleging the group broke the rules that govern tax-exempt status and should, for that reason, lose all taxpayer funding. So, what are your thoughts? Do you really want your tax dollars handed over to illegals so they can afford to lobby your elected officials? You know, to be more lenient when it comes to their illegal immigration status?
I wouldn't have put it exactly that way, but unfortunately, it is accurate.
Let us know what you think in the comments, and visit nlpc.org for more information on this story and more.
You're watching CramerSez.
Welcome back. Wrapping up the show tonight. Thanks for joining me. If you get the opportunity, get over to CramerSezProject.com to find out what we're all about. We're trying to build a grassroots news service. Being able to eventually do news 24/7. It's not that hard, people. It just takes people. We're building the systems now, but we want people to help us join in our effort. We don't know how much this is going to take long term, but we're hoping that we can build something big enough from a grassroots, people up system that it can't be squashed. It can't be bought. It can't be silenced. It can't be leveraged like the mainstream media is today, right? The reason that mainstream media was started was to deliver content to sell you stuff. That's all it was. We'll give you the free programming so we can show you shit that we want you to buy. They've turned that around into being the programming of your kids. Every show's got the, token this or token that. They're pushing their woke ideas all the time, and they're not backing down. As I've been telling you, the people who run the planet have an agenda, and they're not going to stop doing what they're doing. They're not going to stop pushing their agenda. We're going to have a digital ID in this country soon, folks. It's coming. They're going to make it impossible for you to say no. Or they'll entice you with French fries like they did during COVID. Come on, everybody, your digital ID comes with French fries. But it's coming. The world that they have planned, folks, they're going to give us all kinds of reasons. They're going to have terrorist attacks and say, oh, well, we got to have a digital ID because we got to make sure who everybody is. Really? You think the people who are here to hurt us are going to show up for digital ID day at high school? No, they're not going to do that, folks. But you will, because you've got a job and you want to get paid. Did you hear what Starmer said? The PM, the Prime Minister of Great Britain, told their people that if they didn't get the ID, if they didn't like the digital ID, if they thought it was bad, that they could just pack their bags and fucking leave. I added the fucking. That's Great Britain. They've already fallen. It's done. Germany's gone. France is gone. Spain is gone. Western Europe is gone. And we can see how they're carving up the world today on how it's going to be structured, folks. Sadly, we already know. Trump laid out the plan very clear. The U.S. will handle this hemisphere. Russia's going to handle Europe. China's going to handle Asia. Taiwan's going to go to China. They're making the deals now, folks. This is how the world gets chopped up. And each one's going to have a ruler. And then over that is going to be another ruler. And there'll be an overarching ruler over everything. You think I'm crazy? They're carving up the world right now. They're telling you what the new lines are going to be and who's going to be responsible for what. That's what Trump's new America, this hemisphere thing is. People think it's great. They oh yeah. Why is Trump saying we're just going to move back here and we're going to let those people manage that part of the world? Because the world's being carved up. They're telling you what the three big entities are going to be. The Trinity that's going to rule this world. Folks, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. What I do is I plan big events, big marketing campaigns, and at the end, our client will say, hey, listen, here's what we want to have. We want to have at the very end, because I always ask, how do we judge success? How do we know that we've met what you want us to do? And so they have to fill out several forms, and we go through and compile, and at the end, it tells us what goals, what initiatives we have to meet for them to agree that we've been 100% successful with our efforts. We start at the end first, where we want to be, and then we work our way backwards. How do we make that happen? How do I make that happen? How do I make that happen? How do we make that happen? How do we make this many people show up at this event? We plan backwards until at the very beginning, when we start doing things and we start releasing information about what's going on, nobody knows what the end game is. Nobody knows. We do. We have a plan. Remember during COVID, we were told to sit back and relax, that Q had everything, that there was a plan. And I kept saying, nope, bullshit. I can't trust in a plan that I don't know. Trust the plan is what we were told. Trust the plan, remember? And we were supposed to jump in, and so many fucking idiots did. The people most likely to stand up against this fucking government stood down because somebody told them online that there was somebody out there working for them. A white hat that is going in every day and is making sure that the children are safe and hunting them down and turning over the criminals to the... You believe any of that shit now? None of that shit happened. None of it. But Q made me believe. Q is a PSYOP operation by the CIA. Not my opinion. That's General Flynn saying that straight out. I said it as well, though. Do you know how I knew what it was? Because it's something I would have developed that. That's the kind of shit, folks. The work that I do is it's fun for me because I get to see how it rolls out. When you see it being done, and by the way, being done very sloppily. In a marketing campaign, you shouldn't see any cracks. Right? When you're doing a big event, you shouldn't see any cracks. We see cracks in them all the time. Inconsistencies. The reason they're inconsistent is because they don't have time to plan anymore. The events are happening so fast, going so fast. The world is moving so fast. And in 18 to 36 months, it's going to come to a screeching halt. All at one time. The lights go out. They don't have they have no other options. Again, like I've been saying, the number one thing that I'm asked over and over, how do we plan? How do we plan? That day passed. You're done. I wish I had something better to say about it. I really do, but I don't. The reason is because you waited. You were the grasshoppers out there playing where there was work to be done. The ants, like myself, we were back scurrying trying to find out what was going on and what was going to kill us and who was hurting us and telling you, and you didn't listen. You just rather play. Now we're coming up to close to the end. Now, as I say this about, I'm doing the same thing you're doing. What the fuck are you talking about? You think I get a place for a year's worth of water and a year's worth of food and a year's worth of gunpowder and firearms and a 50-foot wall to keep everybody else away from that shit? You think I got all that shit going on for me? What the fuck? We're all in it together. We're riding this out together. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't do the fear porn shit. I'm telling you what their reports say, what history says. We're done. The best you can do at this point is love your family and get ready for what happens. If you have the opportunity to get some gold or some silver, some precious metals, I'd get my hands on that shit. If you've got the opportunity, you know how to make booze, that's always real popular. The things that I'm doing is I'm creating the stuff that you're going to need in a post-apocalyptic world. Making soap, making booze, the things that people use and sell and need. Yeah, as far as anything else, no, there's no need to do that. There's no place to go, folks. There's no place to run. There's no bug-out bag. The lights go out, it's going to be bad everywhere. I tried to fight this for the longest time. I said, no, we can fight, we can do this. No. Because what they'll do, folks, they'll turn out the lights, and the moment that they sense that they're going to be attacked, they will release whatever weapons that they have, whether that be a military force or whatever, against those of us who fight back. They already know that they're going to have access to, they'll have the F-16s and fighter pilots. You going to have one of those? I'm not going to have one of those. So being realistic about it, when you understand what we're up against, it's so much bigger than the romantic 1776 image that we have. As I said earlier, if you don't know who you're going to kill first, if you don't know where you're headed first, then you're useless. If you don't have a plan, if you're just wanting to get together and go kill people, you're useless. That's not saving the nation. That's an idiotic point. I keep hearing this thing as well. Well, they show up on my door, no, you won't. You'll do exactly what you did during COVID. You'll do as you're told. Well, I didn't wear a mask. You still did as you were told. Or one guy said he was so proud. He said, I didn't wear a mask the whole time. I was fine. I was great. I asked his wife, said, did he wear a mask? She said, no, he never wore a mask. Did he ever go to you did he go with you to the store? No. Tell me all the truth, man. Don't leave out half the truth. Don't lie to me. You're only lying to yourself. You didn't wear a mask because you didn't go to the places where it was forced. You didn't go stand up to them like the rest of us did. I went to Costco. They said, you can't buy our stuff unless you put on a mask. Okay. So I told my wife, let's go. And she says, no, we really need this stuff. I said, okay, well, you fucking buy it then. I ain't doing it. Fuck them. And I walked out. She stayed behind. That nearly ruined our marriage, folks. It came to a head in Reno. Thank God we got things worked out. I told her, I said, it really upsets me that you're more concerned about the opinions of total strangers than you are the man that you've been married to 30-some years. You're my best friend. I've got your back every time you need me. When I ask for yours, you're not there. What do you think that makes me feel like? Well, initially what she said was that it was embarrassing. Mm-hmm. Taking a stand always is for those that are incapable of taking a stand. She's changed her tune, folks. She's realized that what I was saying 5 years ago has come to pass. I told her then, I said, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. Worse and worse and worse until total collapse. Why? Because that's what they want. They have to have it to get to their 2030 agenda. Like I said, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I've read everything that they've had to say on this issue. They've told us clearly what they want. They've created the technology. They've created the systems. They've even created the strategy and the tactics on how to get us there. They've had war game after war game after war game. And you're just waiting for it to happen. I'll take it. They come to my house, no. I'm a realist, folks. Am I angry? I want retribution, accountability? Yes, 100%. The most depressing thought that came into my head when I realized where we were and that there was not much of a fight left. Nope. I'm not the second version of Q telling you not to fight. I'm telling you that you lost that opportunity. What do you think you're going to do right now? The only options that Americans have at this point is to stop working, to stop paying taxes, to stop playing in the system, playing in the game that they're in. But here's the kicker. You can't. You're an addict. You like your house, you like your car, you like eating every day. You're leveraged. You're owned. That's why you haven't risen up. The left, they don't like anything. They don't own anything. They don't care about anything other than their emotions of the moment. That's why they're so easy to get out into the streets. But conservatives, it's not our style. It doesn't make us weak, but it does make us complacent. And unless you're willing to act at some point, folks, it's no different than the playground. The bully's going to push you as far as the bully can push you. The bully will push you as long as you let the bully push you. The bully is going to do what the bully's going to do as long as you let them. Complaining, moaning, and groaning don't change dick. I faced bully after bully my entire life, and I found time and time again the best thing to do is just to smack him in the fucking face. Make him see some stars. That's the only thing they understand, folks. Violence is the only thing these people understand. Accountability is the only thing you're afraid of the bullies. Well, if I do that, I'll get in trouble. That's what the bully's telling you. That if you hold them accountable, that you'll be the one in trouble. How do you think it's going to happen? This accountability that we're supposed to get, unless Trump does it, unless your state governor does it, unless your AG does it, unless your judges do it, unless your courts do it, nobody else is doing it. And if they ain't doing it, what's the Constitution say about that? It gives us a remedy, folks. But you got to be willing, and you're not. I know you're not because you won't even show up to a school board meeting. You complain, you moan, you groan that somebody else has got to do something. When are they going to do something? They. When are they going to do something? When are you going to do something? They're crooks, folks. They're criminals. They enjoy the benefits of the status quo and shit. You want things changed? Start showing up. Show up to city council meetings, as angry as I am right now, telling these people where they're going to go. No, they can't cut you off. No, they can't shut you up. If they give you 3 minutes, you take that full fucking 3 minutes and use any language you want. This is your nation. They're just fucking managers. They're below you. Public servants are servants. It's in the fucking name. What's a servant? One step above a slave. You've got to start treating these people like who they are. They're not honorable this or Mr. Sir this. No, you work for me, you fucking cunts. You don't create anything. You don't have a job unless I go to my job. I have to go to work. I have to go make money so you can go do your thing. Shut the fuck up, employee. Do as told. I'm telling you. If we don't start talking to our politicians this way, they're going to continue doing what they're doing. Now, do you know what the term ridden out of town on a rail, tarred and feather is? Tarred and feathered? Do you know what that is? That's a real fucking thing. That's what we used to do to our politicians. When they didn't do what we wanted, we went to their houses. We pulled them out. We tarred and feathered them and put them on a fucking rail, and men walk them around town as they're trying to balance, and people are beating them with sticks around the sides until they acted in the manner that the people wanted them to act. Now, I'm not advocating for going out and doing that, but that's what we used to do in the old days. And so guess what? Our politicians generally acted in the best interest of the people. Not the landowner down the street, not the newspaper owner, not the TV station owner, not the lawyer, not the judge, not the sheriff, the people. Why? Because they didn't want to end up on a rail. They don't fear that anymore, but they did on January 6th. So what do you think? Do you think the nation's going to get better by you not doing your thing? By you staying out of the election and the primary of 2026? Again, folks, I was surprised, shocked that we got 2024. And then it made sense, especially when Trump came in and nothing happened. Comey's charges are being dropped. James's are going to be dropped. Nothing's going to happen. None of these people are going to be held accountable. None of them. Well, how do you know, Kramer? You know what Trump is doing? He's back here playing 5D chess. No, he's not. We're on a timeline. Trump's got 2 years left. It's already done, folks. It's done. The Trump presidency is over. If you don't get it done in the first 2 years of the 4-year term, it doesn't happen. Everything in the last 2 years will be nullified. We just found that out with Trump, didn't we? Isn't that what Trump just did? He had all these cases against him, all these charges, and the moment he came into office, what did they do? Poof, gone. Almost like it was all done just to get the guy in. We got to start thinking about the big system. As I've been telling you for the longest time, you will not see the moves being made until the moves are too late. Unless you got training to go look at where we are and what they say they want to do. That's the training that I have. So I stopped trying to find out what was going to happen next, and I just went to their books to see where they wanted to be at the end. And then started working what it would take to get there. You can't have the world that they want to have without all these data centers. You can't have it. How do I know? Because China has all of them for their digital slavery they have. Their credit score system, social credit score. They've got the same exact kind of setup. Server farms all around the nation because you can't keep track of everybody everywhere if you don't have a data center there, tracking them locally and send that back up to, well, you can do that. Yeah, you can do it all in one location. But that's going to be a big fucking location. Have you seen how big the data centers are in these communities? Some communities, small towns, are getting 3 and 4 just for that community. Well, Kramer, that's just for, AI and making pictures and so on. If you think that they're creating AI so you can make pretty pictures online, you're fucking insane. You are insane. As they say down in the South, bless your heart. Folks, everything that they've created has been created so that they can do what they want to do next. Let me give you an example of long-term thought. What's the main goal? What is the primary goal of Elon Musk? He's told us over and over and over again. It's not world peace, right? It's not being the richest man in the world, although he did accomplish that. No, his big deal is he wants to, get this, listen closely, he wants to go to Mars. So if you want to go to Mars and you're the world's richest man, what do? Well, you prepare accordingly. You start buying and building the companies that you're going to need to get yourself to Mars. You're going to need satellites. So he's got a satellite company. You're going to need communications. So he came up with his communication satellite system. You're going to need rockets. So he's come up with the leading rocket company on the face of the earth. You're going to need electric vehicular movement, right? So he's perfecting the electric car, the electric vehicle, getting the most out of the least. Everything that he's going to need. He had the boring company. You remember that? The boring company, where he was boring stuff out in Los Angeles, going to make these tunnels and everything. And because you need to be able to bore stuff on the moon, or on Mars, rather. Because you can't live on the surface. You got to live underground. So you're going to need big boring machines that are sent to Mars. And then I can keep going. Governments do the exact same thing. If you don't see how all the pieces fit together, then you weren't intended to. For those of us trained in looking for these little things, reading between the lines and going, okay, I understand what that means now. We're at the end, folks. We're at the end. I don't have a solution. I don't have a way to prepare. I don't have a meal system to sell you. I don't have a water, a clean water system to sell you. I'm not trying to monetize off of any of this. And I don't think there's anything to prepare for. What I mean by that is what they have planned is that when it goes dark, it goes dark. You can have a year's worth of food, a year's worth of water, but that ain't going to help you. Because they don't want you out there surviving on your own. They definitely don't want a group of you 20 miles outside the city-state border in an encampment, growing in size and living on your own. No, that won't be allowed. They told us they only wanted 500 million people on the face of the earth. People think that's a conspiracy theory, but Bill Gates has said it a couple times. The richest people on the face of the earth are telling us what they want. When they tell me that they want me dead, I believe them. You should too. Thanks for joining me tonight. We'll be back again tomorrow night.
Thank you for watching Kramer Says Live.
This concludes this broadcast.
Please follow, like, and subscribe to be notified the next time
The CramerSez project goes live.